Today, we preview the 2025 San Diego Padres with Matt Devine of Devine Sports Gospel. You're listening to the Bucko Banter Podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Or the steak by the plates, and in case after case, run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
Fellas, welcome back. We're starting the NOS with none other than the dads of San Diego with the one and only Devine Sports Gospel. Matt, welcome onto the pod, man.
What's good, fellas? I gotta say, that intro, man, that was pretty electric. I don't know. I don't know who was rapping that or what, but with the schemes and O'Neal Cruz, bro, it's getting me hyped, man. I was sitting there just bumping my head. I'm like, let's go, baby.
I saw you rocking,
yeah.
Let's go. That's about all we got going for us right now.
Come on. It was a tough off season for both squads.
Yeah.
So we'll touch on that.
The guy rapping, that's one of our good buddies, Jordan Montgomery.
Dude.
Yeah, he's a Pittsburgh rapper. Go check him out. He's the man. But welcome on to the show, man.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys reaching out and having me, man. I feel like, just always love talking baseball, and I really do appreciate you reaching out. It's been a very fun couple years in San Diego, very hectic couple years in San Diego. Excited to kind of talk a little bit about the pods headed into 2025 and any kind of questions. Hopefully I can, give you guys a good preview of where we're at and hopefully where we're coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it. So last year, the Padres were 93-69, second NL West. Let's go over some additions and subtractions from the offseason. Via free agency, they added Yuli Gurriel. Kyle Hart was a recent guy from, it Japan?
Yeah, Japan. So he was a KBO Cy Young last year.
KBO Cy Young, awesome. And he's right now projecting in the rotation. We'll get to
that. Yeah, he'd be the fifth guy right now in our rotation.
We got Nick Pivetta, Gavin Sheets, Jason Hayward, Connor Joe from our Buccos.
Yes.
Elias Diaz and Martin Maldonado. Via trade, you acquired Ron Marinaccio from the Yankees. Yeah. And then you lost some guys, too. You lost Jurickson Profar, Donnie Solano, Donnie Barrels, David Peralta, Kyle Higashioka, Nick Ahmed, Tanner Scott, Hassan Kim, Bryce Johnson, Martin Perez. With all that said, give a grade on this offseason. Give your thoughts.
Yeah, I was actually just listening to San Diego Sports Radio as I was finishing up work, and they were asking for the grade on the offseason. I think The Athletic or one of those sites gave us a D, which I think is a little tough. I would say overall offseason, if you were to ask me 2 weeks ago, I would have said, like a D minus. I think we're starting to come together. I love the Nick Pivetta signing. That was exactly what I was kind of asking for. Dude's going to give you 160 innings. And I think with our pitching coach as well, Ruben Niebla, I think they're going to make some things work and kind of make a couple adjustments here and there. Reminds me a lot of when we got Michael Wacha in 2023. Came over, cooked for us, got that big deal in Kansas City after that. I think that's a great move. I really, really like kind of where we're at, bullpen wise as well. Like obviously losing Tanner Scott sucks. He's an incredible pitcher. He was so fun. Dude, absolute dog. He was so fun to watch. And losing him to the Dodgers, brutal. But I think by far the strongest aspect of this Padres team right now is the bullpen. I think we honestly might even have an excess in a sense, which sounds a little, greedy, but it's kind of true. Like Robert Suarez is projected as our closer right now. I would look to trade him. I would look to try to get some salary relief off of that. That's $10 million he's owed this year. We have guys like Jeremiah Estrada who could slot in there. We have guys like Jason Adam, who we got from the Rays, and Jason Adam is nasty. And then we'll touch, I know we were talking about him a little earlier, but like guys like Sean Reynolds, Alec Jacob, like we have so many dudes in our pen, Yuki Matsui, and we have these guys in the farm as well, Francis Pena and Bradley Rodriguez. Like by far our strongest attribute as a team is our bullpen. So I wouldn't mind if I would maybe give us going from a C to a C plus, B minus, if we could trade Robert Suarez before the season starts and get, a legit, MLB caliber bat to play a little first base and DH. And I don't know if that's either from trade or what, but if we do that, I would give it more of a B minus. But right now I'd say a pretty solid C for the offseason.
Yeah. I mean, the rotation's gross. We'll discuss that. I think that's going to be the saving grace. also a lot of fingers crossed, a lot of buckos on here. Connor Joe, Elias Diaz, Martin Perez,
Joey Musgrove,
Joey Musgrove's he's still on the IL, right?
Yeah, he's out this
injured.
Season. He's doing the classic Musgrove where he's like going to try like this like alternative medicine to try to get back and pitch. I'm like, hey brother, just get the surgery and take it easy, bro. Like you're getting paid like 4 more years. Like how about we just figure it out and not rush it? But Joe Musgrove's like Mr. San Diego, bro. He's extremely well loved.
Yeah, he's been through the ringer the past couple of years with the injuries. But look at the lineup. I mean, like on paper, you got the names right. Tatis, Jackson Merrill coming back for a sophomore year. Machado, Cronenworth, Bogarts. You add a veteran bat in Hayward. I mean, I know towards the end of his career, and I don't know if it's going to be more of a platoon situation there, but do you think they could have added another like big bat given, the way that the NL West is right now? I know it's all relative when we're giving grades, but like you got, all these other teams that are, playoff teams, potentially World Series type caliber teams. So it's like you're held to a higher standard here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at it acquisitions wise, like Scotty, what you kind of went over, right? The biggest acquisition and the best acquisition by far was Nick Pivetta. That's a legit rotation piece that's an MLB guy that, is a vet who's valued, all that stuff. Lineup wise, we lost Higgy, who was an extremely valuable player for us last year. Couldn't hit for the first 2 months of the season. Then he became Barry Bonds. Like it was insane, dude. Like he would literally hit a home run like every 5 at bats.
He's a great catcher too.
Oh man, dude, insanely beloved. Like he was like would come on to sports radio down like there's this show Bed and Woods, and he would just be like ripping some like Pantera on his guitar. Like dude was like fan favorite, hitting bombs. So we lost him, which sucks. He went to the Rangers. And then Pro, who I've been a Profar guy pretty much my entire life. But when he came to SD the first time, like my mom was like, this guy's my favorite player. Like I've always had a connection with Pro. And he's one of the first people to put us on too. Like we sent him some merch and he's rocked with us since the beginning. So losing him sucks. I'm extremely happy for him. I'm going to the Braves, getting that bag. That being said, like, I think the Connor Joe, Jason Hayward platoon in left field, I'm not saying it's going to be Profar because Profar had the first half of the season last year. That's going to be hard to replicate from anyone that you give a $1 million contract to, like we did last year. Preller's trying to rework that magic, right? He's trying to see, I think Connor Joe against lefties career-wise, you guys probably have better information than me. I think he's like a 110 OPS plus guy. Jason Hayward career against righties is like a 110 OPS plus guy. So you put them together platoon-wise, 2 veterans, 2 clubhouse guys, and you hope for the best, right? Because right now our outfield looks like this. Center field, Jackson Merrill, who I think can honestly compete for a there could be there's 2 ways. He's either going to compete for an MVP or sophomore slump. Like I think he's very similar to Corbin Carroll last year going into the season. Like the dude's a star. Like I didn't miss 1 game this entire season. Watched pretty much every single at bat. Jackson Merrill's a star. Yeah. So you have him in center locked up. You have Tatis in right. All you need for that left field position is to be a league average defensively and hit a couple fucking bombs here and there, right? Like that's all you really need. So I think the Pods lineup wise is going into the season pretty similar to where we were last year. I don't think because we didn't know what Higgy was last year either. Having Elias Diaz and Campy. Maybe, I mean, I don't think Elias Diaz is going to hit, 20 home runs, but if you can get Campy as like getting him in there, and by Campy, I mean Luis Campisano, former top prospects, changed his stance a bunch. You give him an opportunity to, kind of show, hey, this is my last kind of go at it because Ethan Salas is winning in the wings. I don't know, man. I'm excited about it. I'm really in. People give us a lot of grief because we're pretty optimistic as fans, me and my brother especially. But I do think this lineup, like you mentioned, Adam, the core pieces are there. We just need the surrounding pieces to do a job. It doesn't have to be, Profar status, but just Connor Joe, run into a few, play some good defense, be a clubhouse guy, and hopefully the boppers like Manny Machado and Tatis and Merrill can bop. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you don't necessarily need to replace Profar. You can sort of build him in the aggregate, I guess. Like I like the addition of Hayward and Connor Joe together. Like that's a good veteran presence, especially for the clubhouse. You can't quantify the clubhouse presence.
Oh, absolutely.
A guy I have a question about that I don't know anything about. Tirso or Nails?
Yeah,
Tirso. He's projected to be your DH right now. Tell me a little bit about Tirso.
Yeah, so Tirso has been a Padres prospect for 8 years. We signed him out of Mexico. He is a lefty. He's a big boy, man. If you see a picture of him, saw one of my buddies calls him the Crimson Chin. He's got a crazy jawline. But the dude kind of has had an interesting Padres career. Has been kind of in our farm system when it was stacked. He was always like prospect number 12 or 13. Now that our farm system, we've traded for a lot of major league caliber players. So a lot of our top of the farm is left. So Tirso is now consistently in top 10 for our, farm system rankings. Before we got Connor Joe and Jason Hayward, it was looking like he was going to be our left fielder. He had a great year in El Paso last year hitting. I think he had like an 850, 860 OPS, hit 20 plus home runs. The only issue, and you guys know this guy, that was the same league Austin Hedges hit 20 plus home runs. So you never really know with those stats when you're playing on the moon, right? Yeah. That's why you always have to take it with a grain of salt. A couple guys that I follow, this guy named Tatis MVP season on Twitter. Yeah. He's awesome. He has some really good information. And he was talking about Tirso's, underlying metrics. And he said he thinks he's going to be a pretty good player. As a rookie, I know he's not going to be Jackson Merrill, but it'd be awesome to see him get an opportunity. And we signed Yuli Gurriel. Why? Right? Like that's the kind of signing where you're like, AJ Preller's been cooking for 2 straight years. Like he's been our GM for 10, finally started to figure it out, and he's been cooking. That signing yesterday was the first time in 3 years where I was like, what is this dude doing, bro? Because you have guys like, Tirso. And then I don't know if you guys saw, but we signed Jonathan Perlaza from the KBO. He used to be a top prospect for the Cubs. This dude is built like an NFL linebacker and hits absolute nukes, dude. Like that is the kind of guys that I want to see get a shot over a Yuli Gurriel or, one of these older guys to be a DH. Would love to see Tirso get a shot though. And I think he's going to get every opportunity in spring.
Nice.
Yeah. This, the Gurriel thing, I don't get it, man.
Yeah, especially with you, Darvish. I was just about to say that. Like, it's just weird.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought about. I was like, oh, that's rough.
Wow, dude, I just don't understand why. It's not like you're bringing in like a good player. Like it's not like you're bringing in a guy that's like, oh, dude, like last year with the Royals, he had like an 820 OPS with like 15 bombs. Like, nah, that dude wasn't even in the bigs until the end of the season. Right. He didn't hit a home run with the Kansas City Royals last year. He's been a career, if you combine his last 3 seasons, I think he's a negative 0.6 WAR. So what are you doing even giving him an opportunity? Like I get like, oh, veterans, all that stuff, but it's like at a time too, you want to give a guy like Tirso a shot. Like he's been in the minors for so long and he finally has an opportunity. And now you're signing dudes like Yuli. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've only brought in negative WAR players. That's kind of our whole thing.
That's
over
the
here
MO right now. What's his name? What's his name? Charrington, bro. I follow a couple Pirates fans, man, and I just don't understand like the baseball. One of my favorite baseball videos of all time is like the Johnny Cueto when he drops the ball on the mound.
It's electric.
And it's like, bro, like, and then you see the Steelers and like the terrible towels, and like I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but like, you guys deserve so much better than that. And like, as a Padres fan who pretty much was in the same spot my entire life until like 5+ years ago, when like, our owner who sadly has passed away was like, all right, F it, we're going to spend.
Right.
That feeling is crazy, bro. And you have a guy like Paul Skeens where you're like, if you're not going to spend money now, why? Well, like,
oh man. Yeah. Like you said, you're preaching to the choir.
I have a feeling. I know you guys. I have a feeling we have very similar mindsets on this.
Right. Well, let's talk about this. This is something I think maybe we could relate on. Jackson Merrill obviously was a shortstop, got converted to center field. Yeah, awesome out there. But you guys also had Tatis, who was a shortstop, went out there, platinum, glove.
Yeah, man, he was awesome.
How'd you like that experiment when it was first announced that they're going to move Tatis to the outfield? I know there were struggles at short, and obviously it worked out. So I mean, there's a lot of Pirates fans that were kind of iffy about it. I'm personally a fan of it now, But
Yeah.
what's your experience been like out there in San Diego?
Man, dude, like when Toddy first came up, and just the pure electricity of him at short, especially like 2019, 2020, like having a shortstop that can give you, 40 plus homers is special, dude. Like reminded us a lot of like young A-Rod, right? And unfortunately him and A-Rod also have a couple similarities on other things. But it happened. He moved back in Toddy's 2022. Everybody knows suspension. He hurt himself on the motorcycle. Just really not a great year. He came back in 2023 like a changed guy. And the fact that he was able to accept to play right field, and not only accept, but like excel at it, showed. I'm like, oh man, this guy's a winner, dude. Because you give a big contract to a kid pretty much, right? Like he's not that old. And you give him this big contract with all this money and all this fame, cover of the video games, all these different ads. And like, that was him as a shortstop. And shortstops have egos. I'm assuming you guys played baseball growing up. Like that's the position, growing up, you're like, yo,
you're the
shortstop's
guy.
The best player, right? That's swaggy. Like that's where you want to play. You don't put the kid picking daisies in right field, right? And now Tatis plays right field. And dude, he bought in, man. And he's got a cannon for an arm. My season tickets and my brother's are in left field. So we were by pro. But dude, watching Toddy like night in, night out play the outfield makes you appreciate the outfield too. And like, I think the other thing, kind of touching on Jackson Merrill before I kind of wrap it up, because I know I'm going a little long-winded.
All good.
Jackson Merrill's situation last year was insane, dude. This dude had never played outfield in his entire life. They're like, hey, man, we have 15 shortstops, and if you want to make this team, we need you to play center. And he's just like, let's do it. Like, if you guys ever played like MLB The Show or like NBA Creative Player, like one of those modes, and like they're like, answer the question. It's like, what like answer do you want to do? And it's like professional answer or whatever. That's Jackson Merrill, bro. Jackson Merrill is an AI human being when it comes to some of these answers. Like every answer this dude has is the correct answer. He's like, I'll do anything for the team. Like I'll do this, I'll do that. He will be, if he puts up the similar stats and grows as a player I think he's going to grow as, he'll be a $300 million player. Like he is insane. And having him right now, it's crazy, bro. Like he just buys in. He's another dude, right? Like shortstop his entire life. They throw him in center. He doesn't complain. He just tries and almost wins a Gold Glove as a rookie. We're very lucky. We're very blessed.
Crazy. Yeah, he's a special player, and he's from the Northeast too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, dude. Hopefully that doesn't mean he goes back to the Northeast, but I guess they offered him before the season, they offered him an extension last year. He didn't accept. And, you hear some stories about that, right? Where you're like, oh, man, that guy, like Dennis Schroeder back in the day with the Lakers. You're like, dude, he should have accepted that deal. Yeah. Jackson Merrill, that was a smart move, not accepting that deal. Fortunate for me as a Padres fan, but, bro, that dude's about to make a bag.
Yeah,
bro.
with the contracts they're giving out now, that's the move. Yeah, bet on yourself.
Let's go through the rotation and bullpen real quick. I'm going to list off the Fangraphs projected rotation and bullpen. We'll talk about that real quick. Dylan Cease, Michael King, Yu Darvish, Nick Pivetta, Kyle Hart. Like you said, some outliers might be Randy Vasquez, Matt Waldron, Johnny Brito. Bullpen, we got Suarez, Jason Adam, Jeremiah Estrada, who I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, man.
California guy. Adrian Morahone, Sean Reynolds, Yuki Matsui, Wani Peralta, and Brian Hoeing. Yeah. I think that's the strength of their team right there.
Absolutely, dude. And I honestly think what's crazy is there's 2 or 3 guys not on that list that I think are better than a few of those dudes on the list. Like we have this guy, Francis Pena, who I hope we can look back on this episode next year and be like, dude, I remember that Padres kid telling Bucko Banner that Francis Pena is like a dog, bro. Like, dude, this dude just spamming 99-mile-per-hour fastballs, insane cutters. Like just watching him pitch in the minors, like, you're like, dude, this guy's unfair. And he's not even in that bullpen right now. That's why I think Robert Suarez is expendable, because I don't think Robert Suarez is going to opt back into his contract. He's a player option after this year. And if Kirby Yates is getting $13 million a year and Robert Suarez is better than Kirby Yates, I'd be like, yo, dude, I'm going to opt out of this. So I think and I completely agree with you, Scotty. Like bullpen's definitely our strength. The biggest thing of the offseason was talking about, are we going to trade Dylan Cease? We traded for Dylan Cease not even a year ago, which is crazy. We did it right before we went to Korea to play the Dodgers, literally right before that. Yeah. And we traded Drew Thorpe, who was a prospect we got back in the Juan Soto deal from the Yankees. Yep. Went to my college. So shout out Cal Poly.
Nice.
Drew Thorpe's now injured. I wish him the best, but Drew Thorpe, I think, might have to get Tommy John surgery. We traded Yairo Iriarte, who I don't know if is going to make the squad. And then we also traded Sammy Zavala, who is looking like, like a AA guy for the White Sox right now. That was Preller's one of his best trades of all time. So with Dylan Cease, him being a Scott Boras client, are we going to extend him? Probably not. So if I'm Preller, I would listen and just, if a team's going to give us a king's ransom, send it.
Especially with the farm system now, because it feels like it's a little bit depleted.
Oh, yeah,
it's been
definitely
strong, but yeah.
Well, that's what happens when AJ Preller is at the helm. Like he's going to make the moves, but you pay the consequences.
We have an underrated farm too, dude. Like there's a couple guys in the farm, like this dude Cobb Hightower. He gives me Trey Turner vibes. Like they also did an all draft. I feel like AJ Preller and Josh Stein, who's the other kind of like head of scouting. I think they only drafted on cool names. Like our first two picks were Cash Mayfield and Boston Bateman. And Boston Bateman's like the big show, bro. He's like 6'8", just absolute unit.
Cash Mayfield gives me Mackenzie Gore vibes a little bit.
Dude, I was a massive Mackenzie Gore guy too. I was a huge Mackenzie Gore guy. I wish him the best in Washington. I don't know if you guys remember that series, because if you do, that's impressive. But there's a big Washington Nationals Padres beef last year between Mackenzie Gore threw at Profar and then Manny took him deep. And it was like in July. But yeah, dude, Matt Gore was an interesting guy. It also goes to show, right? Like Matt Gore was a can't miss prospect. It's like what, like a number 3 right now, number 4 for the Nats. Like I wish him the best, but like sometimes I kind of respect Preller, man. He trades, he tries to go for it. Hoarding, look at the Orioles, right? You can have 50 top prospects, but if you can't get a hit in the playoffs, it's not really worth it.
Right. They're also just running out of room for these guys out there in Baltimore.
Trade us Heston Kyrgyzstan, bro. I'm like,
you're preaching to the choir, brother.
I'm like, hey, stay left. I was going to ask you guys real quick, and I know it's about the Pods, but I'm curious about the Pirates too.
Yeah.
What's up with people trying to trade for Jared Jones, bro? Like, isn't the whole shtick that you guys have Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller? Like, dude, that's a team in rotation.
There's also Thomas Harrington, Hunter Barco. There's some other arms outside of Bubba Chandler and AAA, AA. So they're trying to deal from strength, and I think they might be potentially predicting a sophomore slump. Like, he's a smaller guy. We met him at Pirates Fest. Like, he's like 5'10" tops.
Really?
Like, yeah,
that's not too small. No.
Sorry,
short kings.
Short
It's pretty
5'10" and a half. You round up 5'11". It's all good.
But for a guy that throws like 100 like that, I mean, like he's a dog. I love Jared Jones, but I think also with the way the pitching market was, they're just like, we're gonna listen and see what we can get. On the way the Pirates operate, it's years of control and years of control. And years of control. So like if we could trade a guy and get somebody for 5 years, then it's like, all right, like we won and we also don't have to pay him anything. Beautiful. But
absolutely.
I don't think they really had any intention of trading him, because I think they were listening on Keller as well.
Yeah.
Which I'm also actually okay.
Arizona boy, Mitch Keller,
right? Idaho. Actually,
Iowa.
Even better.
Iowa.
I was completely off.
Yeah,
I could see that, bro. He's a little pale boy. I can see.
That's why I probably went to Idaho first. Yeah, no, but I mean, I think it's just like, listen, like we couldn't score runs last year.
Yeah,
like you could have 5 Paul Skeens out there, but if you can't score more than 1 run a game, which was the situation, I mean, we probably were in 15 to 21 run ball games the whole year.
Well, you guys have some fun prospects too, bro. Like what's his name? Tamar Johnson.
He's
sick. Yeah, dude, I feel like the Pirates are in an interesting spot because, like, hopefully Paul will make it so that your ownership feels the pressure a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Of like, hey, man, if he could just ball out and like win a Cy Young this year, sooner than later, the fan base is going to be like, hey, man, like you got to gotta invest. Well, I'm praying for you guys.
Yeah, listen,
it's a fun fan base.
It's a baseball city.
It's a baseball city, dude. And it's also like, you look back, bro, like I, as a baseball fanatic, you look back at some of the like legendary teams. Like, I mean, obviously Bonds starting with the Pirates. Like there's so many like awesome moments. I was a big Jason Kendall guy growing up. So it's little stuff like that where you're like, dude, the Pirates fans deserve better, man. Completely agree.
Yeah, we were at they inducted Bonds into the Pirates Hall of Fame. We were there this year for that.
Awesome.
But I mean, listen, the Pirates fans, they definitely deserve better. This offseason has been a circus. There's billboards all over the city asking the owner to sell the team. at Pirates Fest, they tried to stage like their own insurrection. It didn't really work out so well.
Dude,
Like
I love it, bro.
it was like
that's what it's
yeah.
all about, man. And that's the one cool thing. I mean, with social media too, bro. You can get some people behind you. Back in the day, you couldn't. Now you're like, hey, man, sell the team. What's his name? Who's your guys' owner?
Bob Nutting.
Bob Nutting, and then it's so Ben Cherington's the GM, and then Bob Nutting's the owner.
Yeah. And I think Cherington's a little handcuffed by.
Of course.
He gets a lot of shit, but I mean, he doesn't have the right to spend any of his money.
It's so hard to be a GM if you can't spend, dude. Because you're in like pretty much you have to just hit on every single prospect, and you have to hit on some Profar type signings where you get like a 1-year deal, and then most of the time why wouldn't you trade that guy too at the deadline to get more prospects? So I get it.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do with Tommy Pham this year, as you know, Tommy Pham. But
dude, I got some good Tommy Pham stories for you guys.
Boy.
Pirates fans are going to love him or hate him, and there's no in between.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
No one will ever be like, oh yeah, like he's all right. Like, no, you're either gonna be like all in because this dude is classic, or you're gonna not like him.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
That's what we've gathered. All right, Matt, we got 3 quick hitters before we close out here. First, tell us some prospects or prospect that you're most excited to follow or watch this year.
Yeah, dude, great question. So I mentioned Francis Pena. I think he's going to be awesome. Another prospect that, I'm kind of in on. I don't even know if you would consider him Actually, yeah. So I was going to say Perlaza, the guy I mentioned earlier, La Perla Negra. He is sick. If he breaks camp, I think he's going to be a really fun player to watch. Pretty much only hits. He's not really good in the field, not really that fast, but he hits nukes. So I'm a big fan of him. And then the pitcher that I'm really excited about is this guy, Isaiah Lowe. He's been a prospect for the Pods for a while. He has continued to develop as a pitcher. I think he'll probably be in AA this year. And we haven't been able to develop a homegrown pitcher that really has come up and been like a stud for us in like 10 years. I mean, the last time we really developed one that really hit was like Peavy, so it's like, I don't think Isaiah Lowe has Peavy stuff, but I do think he's a really fun pitcher to watch. I follow him on Instagram. He seems like a really nice dude, really cool dude. And he seems like a perfect candidate for either a really good first half of the season and we try to trade for Vladdy Jr. At the deadline and do some crazy shit. And he would be one of the guys going. Or hopefully, we don't go all out and we could watch him develop. And it'd be awesome. I think, like you guys mentioned, right? Like control is huge. We're not going to be spending like we did the last few years. Our owner passed away. New ownership, including there's like a whole legal battle going on. It's crazy. So I think having homegrown talent, especially in the pitching department, will be really beneficial. And Isaiah Lowe is a guy I'm really excited about.
Awesome. If you were to give us one pick to click this year, a guy that's going to be your biggest contributor, you're looking for a breakout year in this lineup or the rotation, who is it?
Great question. I'll give you 2. Pick to click for the bullpen is going to be my guy, Sean Reynolds. I think he's going to be a household name, man. Nickname Skyline. Dude is like 6'9", throws absolute gas, wipeout stuff. Great guy, hungry guy, like wants to be good, wants to be great. Think he's going to become a very similar kind of trajectory to what Jeremiah Estrada was this year. Because we've seen Sean Reynolds, like he played a good amount for us last year. More as like, mop up, like if we're up a lot of runs, down a lot of runs, he gets like 2 innings. But I think this year he's going to become a high leverage guy, and I think he's going to be really good. And then for our, pick to click for our lineup, it's a really interesting lineup because we have like the core pieces, right? Like, am I going to say, Tatis is a pick to click when he's like 4th in MVP voting? Like that's a dumb pick. I think Manny's going to have a great year because he's healthy. I think the pick to click, and this will be funny because I want to see people in the chat. And it's more of a pray to click than pick to click, but please have Xander Bogaerts just have a good year, man. Because I saw an interview with him earlier today. He seems like such a good dude. Every single comment, every player that's played with him is like favorite teammate, greatest guy, all this stuff. We give him that huge contract because we missed out on Judge, which is also, if we're talking about deferring money, that could be an entire another podcast. But like Rob Manfred's like, Padres can't get him, and then you got the Dodgers deferring $5 million, $50 million for every player. And And then we tried to get Trey Turner. We didn't get it. Our owner was sick, and he's like, I want to win in 2023. So he's like, AJ, get whoever. I'll spend whatever money. We go and get Xander. Actually, not a bad first year if you look at the stats in San Diego. He ended up with like a 5 WAR. Kind of tailed off at the end of the season. He hit his wrist. Last year, he was trash. He was really not good. And he would admit that. If he's good, I think regardless of everything else, if he can give us a 800 OPS, even, and that's, I know it sounds funny for giving like a $25 million a year guy, but like that would be a dream. 800 OPS, 20 home runs, decent defense, we're in the playoffs, without a doubt. Like that is like getting a massive upgrade. And he'll be playing shortstop now because Kimmy's gone. So I'm going to say pick to click, and pray to click is the X-Man. Hopefully we're throwing this up a lot this season. But yeah, man, I really hope Xander does well.
Sean Reynolds, real quick, Scott. Sean Reynolds, I'm 6'8", 250. I mean, like,
dude, he's a unit,
bro. He's playing the wrong sport. Like, he's
power forward or something
out in the paint.
Well, so he hooped in. So we had him on the show. He hooped in high school. He's from like Redondo Beach in California. Yeah. And he hooped. He was like pretty nasty. And then he got drafted out of high school to the Marlins as a first baseman. And then he just couldn't hit.
That's where I saw him. I worked for the Mets and out of college, and I saw him, and I remembered the name. He was like a tall first baseman, but couldn't hit.
No, he couldn't hit. So he was like, hey, and then so they went in, and he was like struggling, doing the classic, 4 years in. Is this for me? Am I going to go back to school? Like, what am I going to do? And they were like, hey, like, let's see you pitch a little bit. And the rest is history. Awesome, dude. Really excited to watch him pitch this year too.
Love that. All right. Last and final question. Give us a 2025 prediction. Where do the Padres finish in NL West? Where do they finish overall?
Yeah, I think the Pods this year. So everybody's glazing the Arizona Diamondbacks because, they got Corbin Burns, all this stuff. It's like, nah, screw those dudes. Pods are going to finish second in the NL West this year.
Okay.
I think we're going to win 89 games. I think we're going to finish probably second in the wild card race, probably behind one of the NL East teams that doesn't make it between the, Phillies and Braves. I'd say one of them probably finishes first. And then I think the Mets are going to suck, by the way. That's a whole nother story. I think we do that. And I think my hottest take, this is a good one. So there's my two hottest takes, and this will be great to clip too if you ever want to cook me, because I'll probably be completely wrong. Hottest takes. So if we are in the hunt and balling at the trade deadline, AJ Preller is going to do everything humanly possible to trade for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. without a doubt. That is like, I've never seen something more classic in my entire life than he's going to try to trade for Vladdy and say F it. And that means Cash Mayfield, Boston Bateman. He's going to give him 70 freaking prospects. He's like, I don't care. That's going to happen. And then 2, if we're out of the race, we're trading Cease, we're trading King, we're trading Arise. Oh, I didn't even talk about Arise, man, dude. I forgot. See, that's
Tony.
You only hit singles. You forget about him.
That's why I thought they signed Gurriel, because I was like, are they planning for a Arise departure? I don't know if he could even play.
I think the Gurriel signing's interesting too, because it's a minor league deal. So he's hopefully we don't see him on the pods, because that means someone really messed up. But I think, dude. I think if we're not in the hunt, I think Preller's going to make the move to trade some guys. And I really want to extend Michael King. That's the number one thing. Other than Jackson Merrill, that's the one player on the team that I really want to extend. I think he's going to be, a core piece. And if we have him next year with Musgrove coming back and Pivetta and Yu Darvish, like, that's a solid rotation without even having a fifth guy. Yeah. So Michael King's the guy I want to keep. Dylan Cease, if the offer's there, he might even get traded before opening day. I know they're saying it's not the case, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if a team like the Mets or a team like the Red Sox gets a little trigger happy and they're like, hey man, like we gotta get this guy, and they overpay, because Preller, for better for worse, knows prospects pretty well. Doesn't mean he's not going to trade him, but he will. He'll go after him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cease gets dealt if we're not in the hunt. But it'll be interesting, man. I don't know if you guys remember, but 2023 we didn't trade Blake Snell, and he obviously won the Cy Young. We could have gotten a lot back for that and really helped the farm. So I think Preller's not going to make that same mistake twice. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't trade him, because that means that we're doing well. But if we do trade him, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some good stuff back, especially with kind of what Trevor Rogers got for the Orioles, right?
Right.
You get Connor Norby and whatever that kid Kyle Stowers.
Yeah.
You're like, that's a dude, and that's for fucking Trevor Rogers. You're like, dude, you get DC's in there, man. I'm like, hey, bring me back some good prospects, brother.
Well, Jackson Holiday, come on down.
Right, dude. I mean, that's shoot for the stars, man.
Right,
Now the big one that everybody in San Diego wants is they want him to trade Dylan Cease to the Red Sox for Marcelo Meyer, who is a San Diego kid, so out of Chula Vista.
Okay.
So that's why everybody and their brother, like on all of our live streams, are like, bro, we should trade Cease to the Red Sox. I'm like, I don't think they're going to trade him for a rental, but we'll see. You know, you never know. With like, they got Bregman now, they got Christian Campbell, they got a lot of those positions filled up.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say Christian Campbell
surprised.
might be plugged up a little bit there too. They
Absolutely.
Costas commented on it today. He was like,
yeah, what did he say?
That's a reality show right now, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, he was pretty.
Ironically enough, Scotty, it is a reality show.
Yeah. I mean, Costas was pretty.
Month,
he was pretty much just like, hey, yeah. They were like, where do you see like Campbell and Roman Anthony fitting in? He's like, I don't. He's like, He's like, right now, we have our guy, like our veteran guys. So I'm like, I get that. Like, yeah, you got Devers and Bregman, and like all these guys, but it's like,
Devers' comment was crazy too, man. He's like, yo, I'm not going to DH. I'm like, dude, Trouble in Paradise hasn't even started yet, right? And they got some personalities on that team, bro. Walker Buehler, they got some interesting cats, but yeah, man, I think the Pods are going to have a good year. I mean, like I mentioned, I'm a little bit on the optimistic side of our fan base. I get some grief about that sometimes, but I think life's too short to, be pessimistic. I'm rooting for my guys no matter what. And if we end up having a bad year, we have a bad year, but I think we have some great pieces. Watching Jackson Merrill emerge last year was incredible. We have Salas and Leo DeVries in the top of our farm. I think both those guys are going to be core, Major League Baseball pieces, hopefully for the Padres. I think Leo's going to be really good. I think Salas could be solid if his back can come to play a little bit. I think he's going to be a great defensive catcher, but I think the Pods are in a good spot, man. It's interesting to see kind of what happens with the legal battle too, because if we figure out, who's in charge, hopefully whoever's in charge is probably not going to spend like Peter did, but if they could spend at a league average level with the pieces we already have, more than happy.
Beautiful. Well, hey man, we appreciate you jumping on.
Dude, thank you guys.
Yeah, let our listeners know where they could find you at.
Yeah, if you guys want to check us out, we are at the Devine Sports Gospel, pretty much on everything: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Also, we do a podcast called Devine Deck, which is like all Padres stuff. Probably going to start trying to do a little bit more, MLB stuff too, like once a week, just like everything. Because I have a lot of friends that are, Dodgers, Giants fans, all this stuff. They're like, dude, you just glaze the Padres all the time. Like, can you do a little? And I'm like, all right, so I'm going to try to do a little bit more of that. But yeah, hit us with a follow, man. And appreciate you guys listening. And obviously hit Bucko Banner with a follow if you guys are listening to this. Like, awesome dudes, and hopefully, Paul Skeens and the boys can make a little playoff run. Hopefully, it doesn't mean the Padres are out, but I'm rooting for you guys too.
Hey, Matt, we'll see you in the NLCS, all right?
Hey, dude, sign me up for a little Pods Pirates, bro. We'll grab a beer. We'll grab a what is it, Monty Bros? Is that what you?
Yeah.
I got to try
fries on the sandwich. There we go.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely, man. All right, man. Take it easy.
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you guys. Later.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates, or the steak by the plates. And